Hello, everybody. How are you? It is so good to see you. Let me tilt this down. Well, I really should show you the star of today. Hold on. Let me turn this. I ended up putting that wonderful border print on the top of the quilt. And to get my exploding heart to float, I ran out of the turquoise fabric, so I used a very close but beautiful Jenny Beyer. And I do try to put some Jenny Beyer fabric in every quilt I make. So that's fun. Well, hello. Today is Sunday, February 12th, and I'm very glad to see you. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about this exploding heart. It's one of those quilts. It's kind of like getting the vaccine. You're not looking forward to it, but afterwards you're glad you did, and you feel maybe just a touch superior because you know that you did something that a lot of people didn't bother to do. They were too chicken to do. That's this quilt because it was a lot more work, a lot more repetitive. And me, with my short, tiny attention span, that's a chore for me because I like doing it fast and dramatic, not take it slow, piece by piece. It is a challenge. But anyway, we'll talk more about that in a minute. Right now, I'm taking some pretty shades of Valentine's, and I am making some strips for something that I will show you a little later. And upstairs, Mark and I have in the crock pot a good old Angus beef pot roast. And so it smelled good when I came down. So hopefully he went to the store this morning and then we said, hey, throw in a pot roast because it is rainy here and in the 40s. And after my show, I love to come up to a kitchen that smells really good and just sit down and not have to do anything but go put it on my plate. So, do you know, I'm sitting here tearing this fabric, and these are the little threads that you'll get out of it when you're tearing it. There's a part of me that wishes I saved these threads because I know on art quilts, from time to time, you'll have an occasion to want them. But honestly, I can't save anything more. Every cubby, everything is full of one day. So I'm tossing that away. But we have our block of the week going. I've got our second block, and I'm going to show you how to make 4 flying geese. I somehow thought I remembered it as 2, but it's 4 flying geese at a time, which is just in time because next week's block is going to be, I would call it a flying geese wreath. And so it's just in time to learn this so that you'll be ready for next week. But let me just cut a couple little more strips, and then, because even though I'm not really feeling Thanksgiving. No, I wouldn't be feeling that, but I'm not really feeling Valentine's today. I still like to at least do something, give you something to think of, that if you are, I want you to have a fresh idea. Hopefully it's a fresh idea. So I've just got a couple more to tear off. So I'm going to put my glasses on. Oh, there you are. I'm going to put my glasses on and see who's here. So Laura, Barbara, Marsha, there's our Jody, It is so good to see you. Love seeing Laura. Lisa is here. Lisa, I know we only talked briefly at the quilt party, but I'm so tickled that you remembered and came home and showed up. I am so happy that you're here. And from what I have noticed, you have been a delightful addition to our group. And let me tell you, we like that. We like that very much. I'm wearing a dark shirt today so that all my threads will show up. But what's new? I told y'all I walked into Jenny Byers' studio one time, and she lives away from me. So I had plenty of time in the car during the travel to work on a quilt, some handwork. So when I walked in, I didn't realize I had my scissors hanging around my neck. I had my sewing needle with thread hanging off it stuck in my sweater. And then I had threads all over me. And she chuckled and said, "Boy, you are a quilter." And I'll always remember that very, very fondly. So, okay. Let me get these last couple cut. But I'm so glad to see all of you. I'm not sure old Debbie. I hadn't even finished. Okay. Sonia, hi, sweetheart. And let's see. Oh, Nazrin is here. Hi, Nazrin, hon. We've got some new pictures from Nazrin. I think I might have shown them last week. Very, very talented lady, I'll tell you. And you know one thing I love? I love seeing the things she makes, the patterns I draw up. She has her own vision, and her color preferences are very different from mine. And so it's like I get to see what my quilt would look like if I had chosen different colors. So as I've told y'all before, I love for you to put your own influence. Don't sleep with your glasses on because you kind of crunch them. But anyway, I love seeing you put your own touches on everything we do because that's what makes it yours. And that's what makes me happy as a designer. I'm happy because you love it enough to put your own touches on it. So that's a very, very good thing. All right. So this past week, I went to a quilt guild meeting. And it was the Barbecue City Quilters from Lexington, North Carolina. Hence the name Barbecue City Quilters, because Lexington, North Carolina considers itself the pork barbecue capital of the world. And I do have to say, they make some right tasty barbecue. And here, just to give you a little bit of insight, down here, we don't sauce our barbecue. It's dry rub. And so it was so funny when Mark and I got together, he wants to put barbecue sauce on the barbecue. And in fact, when he heats it up, we have a kind we like called Brookwood. And when he heats it up, I'm like, take the lid off, dry it out. I don't like it mushy. And the other thing is, now, I don't agree with them on this one. I'm more of a northern kind of gal when it comes to this. I like a mayonnaise-based coleslaw, but down here it's vinegar-based. But I'm just not a vinegar lover. So, but otherwise, there is nothing better than to see a great big barrel cut in half and retrofitted as a huge charcoal cooker. And if you can use hickory wood, then it's even better. And you get that thing going early in the morning, maybe almost middle of the night, and you slowly roast a whole pig over the grill until time for dinner. And then corn on the cob and potato salad and creamy coleslaw. I mean, oh man, it's good. So anyway, thank you for letting me get those fabrics cut. I will have to iron them before we do our special project, but at least that part got done. I got up this morning early. Considering I didn't fall asleep till 3:30 to 4, getting up at 10:30 I thought was right early. And got up early, went in to sew. You know the saga of the sewing machine. It's my newest Juki. I took it to Lexington to have it repaired 2 times. He couldn't do the cutter, so then I took it to another one. When I sat down to use it today, it sewed beautifully for 10 minutes. And then the initial problem that I had, where the bobbin holder, it's a drop-in bobbin, the bobbin holder keeps popping up. I don't know why, but it keeps popping up, and then it makes a terrible sound, and then the tension's all wrong. So now I'm going to have to take it in yet again. And if he can't fix it, I'm going to start to wonder if I bought a lemon. But I'm hoping it's just not quite, that it's something small and it just hasn't quite been fixed. So poor Mark, who has pulled his back in between his shoulders, has carried one of my machines down. He's carried the new one, put it in. Then he had to take the new one, bring it back down because it's got to go back to the shop, and then take my other one back up. I feel so bad for him. I helped him, tried to help him get it in the desk, but oh my gosh, I'm so frustrated. I've now pulled myself together because, I was kind of talking loudly and maybe saying a few words that weren't that nice because I'm sick and tired of taking a machine to a repair shop. So I know exactly how to explain it. Hopefully I can talk to the repairman himself and say, what the heck is going on here? But honest to goodness. And my Elna is sitting here down here in this desk, and she's laughing because she said, you know what, Deb? You keep buying these new machines, but I never break. She's right. She never breaks. Except the time I dropped her out of the car. Yeah, don't sit a sewing machine up on a seat when you need to have it repaired, because then when you hit the automatic door open, it might tumble out onto the street. And then it might break the big gear that runs down the machine, and then it might cost $300 to have it repaired. So don't do that. Anyway, oh boy, am I full of it today. I'm in one of my storytelling moods today. So what is going on with all of y'all? Oh, thank you, Debbie. Happy Valentine's Day to y'all too. Oh, it is so good to see all of you. And I had a chance this week to go to Sew Euphoria to peek at Miss Nancy Lynn. And I also made sure to go to see our Canadian artisan, Carol, at her YouTube site. So just remember, we're lucky enough to have some really talented people visit their site and see what they have to offer. The one thing that I love most about modern living is there is something for everyone. And it doesn't matter whether you quilt or knit or crochet or paint or paper bead making. There's something for you to do and to make, that's beyond working or cleaning house. That's something to lift your soul. So please rejoice in that. Take that time. I know it always lifts my spirit. So it's a good thing. Oh, but I was telling you, I went to a quilt bee. Lovely ladies. I was pleased at how many people they had there. The only thing I worry about, and I'm going to tell you this, is I stay pretty busy here with y'all. The Thursday night show and the Sunday show keep me busy all week long trying to make things, come up with new ideas, and boy, do I have a great new idea for our Sundays. I don't know whether I should tell y'all yet, But think of Zen and think of elephants or giraffes or zebras. Think of Zen. Think of those exotic animals. And then think of fabric paint. So be thinking of that. And I will tell you, I happened to see a puzzle and it just, my mind went bing, because I love painting fabrics. I love going in and getting and scouring some fabric and ironing it really good, no starch, ironing it really good, then coming in and drawing whatever my design is on it, then quilting it with black, heavy, good, sturdy quilting thread, and then getting my my paints, my Lumiere paints from Jacquard, and my textile medium, and then just going to town painting the fabric. So just think this big by this big, and you might have the right idea. So I've been collecting African designs, the designs that show up in African fabric, because wouldn't it be perfect to take the African fabric designers and makers and the artisans and use their designs in our African safari animal. And so I'm really excited. I'm still, I'm always thinking, no wonder I have a hard time going to sleep. So, but I love getting out. It was fun. It's a long drive. It's 45 minutes for an hour-long meeting. So that's tricky. I have to think about that. But it felt good to get out and see some people I hadn't seen in a while. And that part is nice. I thought I enjoyed staying home during the couple years, almost 3 years of the pandemic. But now that I get out, I realize it is good for me. It really is. So I went to that meeting, and then I found out that one of the people I admire the most is now running my old league guild, which I don't even want to call it mine, because I haven't been there for years, and it's gone through so many metamorphoses, and I'm thrilled that she's running it. I was telling Mark all about it. He said, "Why don't you go check that one out?" He said, and I said, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "Check them both out and then decide," because I told him I can't do two. And I'm even worried about doing one, because if they have any kind of charity thing, if they have even a block of the month, I've got to know if I can handle. Do I want to take on anything? Because my first love is you all. This channel is my first love. It fits me like a glove. And speaking of that, does anyone know what's coming up in about 1 week from today? Anybody know the significance of 1 week from today? Well, on February 18th, 2018 is when I started this channel. So coming up soon will be 5 years, not one, 5 years that I've been doing this YouTube channel. And so I'm going to next Sunday, we're going to do some special little things, just talk about it. There may be a prize to be won, because I think commemorating 5 years is a pretty good thing. All right, so nobody has meant, oh, there it is. I just hadn't gone down. Let me make sure nobody else snuck in. And it's so good seeing all of you. It's a beautiful day in Ohio. It is gray and dreary here. I've been watching, every time I get time to really sew, I love watching Vera. It's my favorite British show right now. And she's up in Northumberland in England, and it's always gray and rainy. And so I really, today when I was watching her, I looked out the window and said, yes, I'm living that today. So, it's so good to see everybody. Laura, it's beautiful. No, it's chilly and rainy in Georgia. Is it a good day? Oh, Nazrin, it's a beautiful day in Toronto. How wonderful. I didn't know Nazrin was a Canadian. You know, my Mark was born in Canada. So I feel very specially. I feel very special about Canadians. So, oh, thank you, Nazrin. Oh, oh, there's our Mark. He popped in to say hi. I tell you what, he was wonderful today helping me get ready. He said, "Do you need any help?" Yeah. So he did a great job. Diana's in Southern Oregon, sunny but so cold. Is our Mary Zare is here. Welcome, Mary Zare. How good to see you, sweetheart. Robin is here. 5 degrees today. That's chilly. Oh, it is so nice to see all of you. It is wonderful. So I'm not going to complain anymore about rain in 42. So I'm content. We'll say that. But I've got things starting to bud out, and it's like, oh, slow down just a little bit because I know it was 70 degrees the other day, but we can't for sure know that spring is going to be here any earlier. Just be careful. All right. I think the first thing I've already told you about my progress. I got a few more rows done, and I think I've got about 3 or 4 more rows left, but they're mostly the turquoise. Oh, we are glad that you are here. Is Melton here? Oh, I wonder if Melton is here. The first thing I wrote on my agenda, and I highlighted it, the first thing I was supposed to talk about and highlighted is our hearts are with all the people from Turkey and Syria. Oh my gosh, my heart breaks. This morning I had the news on. They said it's topped 37,000 dead. That breaks my heart. That is so sad. There have been some miraculous stories of a man like 6 days after being buried was alive. There was this little girl that made it out and a baby. Oh, yeah. See, yes. I just please know we're not going to talk much about it. You need a break, Malcolm. But please know that our hearts are with you. And I wish there was more we could do. I'm hoping that we'll hear of some things that we might be able to do in the future to help your country. So just know we're thinking of you, sweetheart. But thank you for being here, you sweetheart. I've been watching the news and it's just heart-wrenching. So we're going to have some fun in honor of Melton and her wonderful countrymen and the work they have ahead of them, because we think the world, our heart is right there with you, hon. All righty. What's the thinner thread for your bobbin when doing the landscape? If I can get a 60 weight or just something that feels silky, so your top threads can be 40 or 50 when you're doing thread painting, but I 60 to 80 is what I like for the bobbin. And just see what your machine likes. But I have a feeling if I showed this to Miss Bonnie Langenfeld, she would say, well, you did a little bit too much thread painting in the field. And I would say, you're right. But I do love this. And in fact, who was asking me? Sue, one of our new members, was asking, how to improve a walkway. And I told her, sent her a picture of how I took the darker thread and kind of developed the pathway a little. But I do love that quilt. And now what we're doing on our Thursday nights, while we're talking about it, I'll go ahead and show you. Whoops, my little strips are flying away. what we're working on Thursday, and where I might have done a little too much thread painting on that one, on this one, I never met a fabric I couldn't use. So here is our Thursday night landscape that we're working on. And honestly, I'm real tickled with this, and I want to keep working. There was one thing I was going to tell you. I used a wide brush because I was worried about showing you the technique quickly. I should have used a finer brush to paint the ink tints with, because too often it tended to run just a little bit, but like kind of blend. But I want to show you some of where are the trees that I did? I highlighted some of these trees. I haven't looked at it since. Oh, here's some of my rocks. So it's still showing up. But I just wanted to say, you might not want to flood the whole area as much with the fabric medium and water, just so that you can keep certain colors in certain places. It did pretty good, but when I first did it, I thought, they can't see where the different colors are. But we're going to keep working on that. I'm going to have it all zigzag stitched down for this Thursday night, so then we can concentrate on thread painting and fabric painting highlighting. So that's what's in store. Now, you know that we're working on a block of the week because we have nothing better to do. But here is the block of the week that we're working on. And every week I will send you, if you are a member of our group's IO, it's right on the site. If not, just send, let me make sure I wrote I forgot to put my email, OurTimeToQuilt at twc.com. All right, there is my email address. If you email me, I will send you the block and the directions. Now, I write these up myself. I work them out in EQ8, and then I write up the directions. So hopefully, if you find a mistake, let me know. In fact, this one has a mistake, but I've corrected it in the original. I was telling you, you get to make these great big flying geese blocks. So I was telling you, you needed 2 7.5-inch squares, until I realized with one 7.5-inch square, I made 4 flying geese. So I've corrected it. And when I upload this block on our site in the file sections under Nod to the 19th Century, you will see it's corrected. Okay? But it's always nice when you realize, oh, I didn't need that much. So here are the quilt blocks I've made so far. All right. Here is the first one I made last week. Here is this week's with those wonderful flying geese. Okay. Now, oh, thank you, Miss Mary. I'm going to set this. I'll set it right here for this moment. It's going to fall. Let me try again. Okay. Now, I'm going to get ready and show you just how easy it is to do those flying geese. And pay attention, because you're going to be doing more of these the next week, because next week's block is going to be a circle of flying geese. Not truly a circle. It's easier than a circle. All right, here we go. Let me bring the camera down and show you how to make this. Okay, here we go. All right, so what I have here is I have 1 7.5-inch square of fabric. Then I have 4 4-inch squares. I have 4 4-inch squares. You can take and draw a diagonal line down the back from corner to corner, or you can do like I do, which is fold them in half with these points right at that intersection. And now let me show you how easy this is to sew. All right, so let me bring the camera down a little. What you do, and this is going to look funny to you, and just don't worry. I'm going to first put this lower one, pin this lower one on. And I want to put the pins so they are out of the way because I don't want to sew over them. So I'm going to put a pin over here and put a pin over here. Okay. Then I take my next square. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you, Diana's Sewing Adventures. And Diane, I'm trying to think if I went to your site, but please, please support our viewers' sites because I'm so proud of everyone who has the gumption to start a business or a website. There's a lot of work and caring that goes in it. All right. I want both of my squares to line up, even if I have to adjust them just a bit. And let me do something really quickly. I'm going to double check that this is truly 7.5. See how I put measuring tape on the edge of all of my cables. It makes it so easy to double check yourself. And when it gets too worn, I pull it up and put some fresh down. All right. Now I'm going to, all right. There we go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and sew 1/4 inch on either side of this creased or drawn line. Oops. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot. Last time I sewed on this was Thursday night. I don't want to sew it with monofilament, monopoly. So let me grab my pale gray, my favorite color, to piece with because it plays nicely with all colors. It never tries to hog the attention. So that's why I love it. New gray is probably the color I use from Coats and Clark's the most. All right. So now I'm threaded and ready to go. Got a bobbin in. Check that. Let me try to get a little closer here. Whoops. Okay. Here we go. So I come in here. I'm going to drop my stitch length down to 2.2 just to make sure. Whoops. And that this top, the first piece I sew on, it's going to, let me see if I can show you. The first piece I sew on, this is going to just overlap that second piece, just a touch. That's going to look odd to you, and you're going to think something's wrong. That's not wrong. That's just what it's supposed to do. So I've sewn all the way down. Then all I'm going to do is rotate this and come down the other side. And when you get to this intersection, since it's overlapped, what I like to use, let me see if I have one down here. Yes, I do. I buy a pack of bamboo skewers. This is what I like to use in place of a stiletto, because if my sewing machine needle hits it, it won't break the sewing machine needle. It shouldn't. And hopefully it won't do damage. So now, coming right down. Make sure too, especially when you end up sewing off an edge that's like narrow like this, the fabric, since not much of it is under the feed dogs, it can tend to kind of swoop like this. and your seam will go one way or the other. So it can help if you use some kind of stiletto to make sure you feed it off of the machine as carefully as you put it on the machine. Now I'm just going to come down here. Normally, if you weren't here, I would put this on my cutting mat and use my rotary cutter and a ruler and just cut right down the middle between the stitching. Okay? Now, then I'm going to bring you over here. Let me zoom back out. Okay. Bring you over here and press this. So now you've cut all the way down. So you ended up like this. You've cut all the way down. Then you're going to one at a time. Now, this is the darker color. So I lay the light color down, hold the dark color up, because then when I press, it automatically presses the seam allowance to the darker color. And you just give it a good press. Don't wrench or anything because you don't want to disturb any possible bias seams. So now kind of looks like an unusual heart. I'm going to do the same thing to this one. Okay? So I, lay the light fabric on the ironing board, holding the dark fabric up, and then that way, when you come in and press it, the seam allowance goes to the dark. And be careful, do not scrub it with the iron because you don't want to distort it. Just press. All right, so, and see how the seam allowance goes towards the dark fabric. All right, now what I'm going to do, I'll do it right here since the camera's right here. I'm going to pin on the other the other squares. So I'm going to take this one and put it where it fits perfectly in this corner. See, like this? And that the diagonal line comes right up in between this. Whoop. Let me move that iron. My hand bumped it, but I don't think I burnt myself. Okay, so I'll put a pin here out of the way, a pin here out of the way, so I don't even have to think of them right now. All right, bring this one down. Let me get off this wispiness here. All right. Now come in with this, and you notice always putting right sides together. Okay. I used to tell my grandchildren when they were sewing, put the pretty side of the fabric kissing the other pretty side of the fabric. Y'all already know that, but it was fun to teach a 5-year-old. Okay. So pin it here, out of the way. Now I'm going to come back over to my sewing machine. Come down. And let me loosen the camera just a little. And there we go. All right. And I love my new arm. I love what Mark rigged up for this. It's wonderful. So I'm just going to do the same thing I did before, and I'm going to sew 1/4 inch away from the either drawn line or the crease line here. Okay? And this looks weird, but as you can see, really pretty easy. Since I like to keep things moving, I'm going to go ahead and slip the other one in and do that stitching too. Then I'm going to just turn them around and now run through the other side. You know what? Nope, I'm not going to do that because I like having the other line of stitching to help guide me. So I'm going to come back and go back the same way, but just with the first one. All right. Now, wait a minute. Am I doing this right? This doesn't look right. No. Hold on. Okay, here we go. I like the quarter. There we go. I like to line up the edge of this foot at 1/4 of an inch. Line it up with that crease. And you know, this all makes such a difference because if you don't get it right, whoops, like I just did, if you don't get it right, then it throws everything off. All right. Now the stitching is done. I'm going to unhook these. I'm going to take my pins out like this. All right, here. Then I'm going to come in here and cut down. Well, I thought you could see it better. There's the stitching. So I'm just going to come and cut it right down the middle between that stitching. Now you're seeing why you can make all 4 necessary flying geese with one 7.5 inch square. It boggles my mind. I told Mark, I'm not the kind of person who can dream these things up, but boy, I'm so happy there are people out there that can, because it makes our life so much easier. Now I'm going to bring these, let's see, bring these over here to my ironing board. Okay. And press them, and let's see what we've got. All right. Always have your dark on the top when you press so that your seams go to the dark. Now, if it's too difficult here because then you have these overlapping, then go ahead and do what's best for you. Sometimes I will come in and grade the seam just a little and take away some of that bulk so it will lay flatter. And I don't know where my woolly mat is, but that really helps making the seams lay flat. Okay, I'll move this here. Then I'll bring this one, lay the light fabric on the table, and then iron towards the dark. And then give it one fresh, crisp ironing. So now I have both of these. Whoop. All right, another one. So this is such an easy way. Now the only time that you might not want to do this is if you're making a truly scrappy quilt. If I use starch, absolutely. The first thing, and I just use the inexpensive cans of starch I get at Walmart. Okay? But anytime I'm making something like this, I like using starch. You know, I know for a while we thought, oh, it's bad. It'll cause bugs to eat the quilts and stuff. Well, quilts like this are probably going to wash because I'm going to want this to look very old-fashioned. This is supposed to be a reproduction look of a 19th century quilt. So I'm going to quilt it with cotton, and then I'm going to wash it and get it to shrink all comfy and cozy because that's what it would have looked like in the 19th century. But I starch it first, so it's going to get washed. And what I find when you're doing precision work, let me grab these blocks again. When you're doing precision work and your points have to all be right on the money, okay? That when you're doing precision work and your corners all have to come together, if you starch it, it makes it easier to cut accurately, and it makes it easier to piece. It's just a little bit stiffer, okay? There you go. So here now, let me show you where these go in the block. After you make these 4 at a time, make sure that you trim them down to 3.5 by 6.5, because this space in this block is 6.5 inches and the height is 3.5. And the reason you know that, now that's the cut size, not the finished size. The reason you know that is because the cornerstones are 3.5 inches square, and this center block is 6.5 inches square. So then you know that this center section is all 6.5 wide all the way down, and that the height of this row is 3.5 inches, because that's what the cornerstones are. So you just take your hints from the measurements and things you do. But I think it's lovely. I love these fabrics. It reminds me, these are Three Sisters fabrics, but it reminds me of the French General fabrics, which I wish I, had bought. And when I finally had a chance to buy these, I knew I had been saving these block images in a folder for quite a while. So now next week's block is going to be roughly the same size. Okay. And so now I don't know if I want to use this same color again. I might save these for a later time. But next week, we're going to have the blocks like this. And then these blocks are going to go this way. And then it's going to be 2 more coming this. Whoops, you can't see this good enough. Let me lower this down just a touch. All right. See how you're going to have 2 blocks going this way, then 2 blocks going this way, then 2 blocks pointing this way, pointing by meaning that point there, and then 2 blocks going that way. So I don't know if I want to use these same colors, but if I did, next week's block's halfway made. So this week was a pretty easy block. I did fussy cut my center, even though it might not look fussy cut. I lined a clear ruler and just centered this flower spray. But it's really nice when you can do that. And that's one of the things I love about taking the time with this 19th century traditional quilt. It's not that hard, at least not yet. And I can take time to do some nice little things like fussy cutting. That's a good thing. All right. So now we've got that. That's block 2 of the 12 blocks all done. So we're 1/6 of the way there. Now, before we do some of the Valentine's things, I would like to show you, go to show and tell, especially since we have people here that don't always get to join in with us. So let me turn off this light. Here we go. Let me bring this over. All right, turn this. All right. Boy, my IT man's done a really good job lately. Although I need help, I think, bringing that up. I'll have to mention that because it's pulling on this. So, but let me try to get this. All right. Okay. Now I'm going to go to show and tell. I was going through trying to tidy up the individual folders. Not sure I didn't get to go through all of them. So we'll do our best here. Okay. Let me make sure you're still there too, because I certainly would not want to lose you guys. Sometimes when I turn this around, I know it gets a little wonky. Nope, you're still there, I think. Okay, so we'll start with Alberta. Alberta sent me a couple new images this week. Let me bring up her folder. Okay, and when you become a member and want, or when you just watch this, you don't even have to be a member of our group's IO, but when you simply watch this and you send me photos, I will make sure to make your own folder so we can talk about your wonderful work. Look at this that Alberta made. And it is a baby quilt. If you see the safari color fabrics, they're absolutely precious. So I think Alberta did a wonderful job of this. I love it. All right, her next, let's see what she's got next. Here is another one, and she also is showing the backing. I love that backing. I think it looks really good. But I also love how she did this unique center border, and she did such a great job, or I guess you'd almost call it a wide sashing. She did such a great job of fitting all of these disparate, different measurement blocks. Excellent work, Alberta. And I couldn't resist keeping this one more week because I think this tie quilt that was made for an aviator is just beautiful. What a nice job. Nice, nice work. Okay, let's see who is next. Next will be Brenda. Now that we have Brenda, her work up, I found out some interesting things about Brenda. Brenda has a little shop now. I don't know if it's little. She has a wonderful, sweet Brenda's Stitchery in Vanderbilt, Michigan. And not only does she have a shop, but she's a long arm quilter for hire. And boy, we're always looking for a good quilter. So I was so tickled to hear this about Miss Brenda. And I also heard that she sells backings. Now, I don't know if she has a specific website that we can go to. Look at this. This rope bowl is magnificent. Come on, get bigger. There we go. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I'm wondering if she did that with ink tints. It's gorgeous. So remember, Brenda's Stitchery in Vanderbilt, Michigan. And in here, I do have a picture of a long arm and some of her gorgeous quilting. But look at this. Isn't that beautiful? Very, very nice. So I wanted to highlight, because we like to support our fellow sisters in the business. And no wonder there's all this beautiful quilting. Look at that. Can you see that quilting? So, Brenda, way to go. And then I love the piecing of this bird. All the little pieces. Oh, beautiful work. Look at that. Beautiful work. Here's one of her curvy strip landscapes. Isn't that beautiful? Look at the quilting on this quilt on that long arm. So, keep in mind, Brenda's Stitchery, Vanderbilt, Michigan. So thank you for the little birdie who tipped me off, because I think that's fabulous. Isn't that beautiful? I love that. Isn't that sweet? Love standing out there fishing on the rocks. So keep in mind Brenda's Stitchery. And if she next time she's here with us, I'll ask her if she has a website. Thank you, Miss Brenda. I'm so tickled, and I'm so glad to find that out about you. Now we like you even more. Okay, so now I'm going to go back. Next is Carol. And you know, Carol has the Canadian Artisan YouTube channel. Canadian Artisan. Very talented lady. She loves hand stitching and the making of journals and diaries and scrolls, and it's amazing. When I watched the other day, her and a woman named Anne co-hosted the event and did the actual stitching, talked about it, the process, talked to others. It was just very peaceful and wonderful. So thank you, Miss Carol. I think I'm going to have to get some new things from Miss Carol. She's very productive, so I know she'll have them. I have a few things to show you today. Let me go to recent portraits. I told you about taking the class with Miss Bonnie Langenfeld. Whoops. Sorry, I didn't mean to open two. But this is what it's like to take a virtual class. I had my laptop there, and here was the Zoom frame, and here are all the different people in the class. There's even more of them. You could push on that little arrow, but you don't have to be. You could just have your name up if you wanted, or you can have your live photos, whatever you want. You can mute it until you need to speak or have permission to speak so that everyone's not talking at once. But she was able to sit there and show us that so easily. Because if you're in an actual classroom, they'll bring you up to look, but you're standing in a group. I felt like we had a front row seat. This is wonderful. So I just wanted to show you, what does it look like to take a virtual classroom? And you could watch it on your television. If you can cast to your television, or you can watch it on your tablet, or you can watch it on your laptop, whatever works for you. But I love the medium very, very much. So that's Bonnie Langenfeld's class. All right, let's see what else I have. So I told Mark the other day, it was in the 60s and 70s this week, and I said, I'm asking you out on a date, and we're going to go down to the Yadkin River, and we're going to take our foldy chairs, and we're going to sit and just enjoy being able to be outdoors in February. Because, you don't often get a chance to do that. So here's the big Yadkin River. That's where we get all of our water from. Now let's see, I've got a few shots of it. And it was right before sunset. Whoops. Oh, here's a video. These are submerged rocks. So it's not a river I would jump into without caution. It's very wide. And it can flood, and it can be treacherous if you're not careful. But that's our Yadkin River. And we were at a place called East Bend. And I said, that's where it bends. Here are my one grandson. Here is Russell riding his little push bike. Is that the cutest? My son sent these the other day. I love it. My daughter bought him that bike, and it's so wonderful teaching him balance because he's only 3, before he's ready to ride a real bike. Here's Donnie. That's Russell. And I love they have their helmets on, start them safely right from the start. Then this is my daughter Katie's house. They had a light dusting of snow earlier this week. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? This is her farm. up on the eastern shore of Maryland. So thank you to my kids for sending some wonderful things for you to see. All right, let's see who's next. Diana B. Let's take one more look at the beautiful quilt she designed for us. I just love this. I was chatting with Melanie, and she's going to make one. And so she's been a little sidetracked with a new puppy, but boy, that puppy is worth being sidetracked for. Miss Dolores, I just want to show you again. She took a class to make this eagle, and she has done extensive thread painting, and she did a collage, all different type of fabrics to make his feathers. And let me see, go back, here it is. And let me see if I can bring this up. Come on, don't be difficult. There we go. Is that beautiful? Miss Dolores is so talented. Thank you so much for sharing your work with us, because this is a lot of fun. All right, now let's see who's next. Jody, just to show again her Wicked Witch of the West. Wasn't it West or is it East? I get confused. Okay, and then just real quick to show you, she's working on 2 quilts, a shirting quilt and a 9-patch that are also have a really wonderful feel of 18th century. All right, let's see. Lisa. Lisa's one of our new members. I met her at the Myrtle Beach Quilt Party, and I'm so glad she joined. She sent in this picture. This is a class she took a year ago. Amazing. Love that. So sharp. And then here is her Exploding Heart quilt. And then, look, she made her first block in our nod to the 19th century. I love it. And I love it, too, because it's a scrap buster. And I love that ornament she made. So, multi-talented woman there herself. All right, now let's see who's next. Oh, our Mary. Our Mary, who did this wonderful, painted her fabric herself and made this wonderful seagrass look. I love it. We did that last month in the Landscape Thursdays, Art Quilt Thursday. Then she took a class and learned to do fabric painting. And you paint and decorate a fabric, then you cut it apart and then sew it back together. I love it. I love all the different techniques that she used with like a watercolor wash. And you can do that with acrylics. You just have to be able to thin them out. And so, great job. Then she placed them. Then, oh, look at some of these. That's amazing fabric painting. And then you piece them back together and decorate them into a scroll. I love that. Thank you, Miss Mary. Look at that. Isn't that is just happy and charming, just like Miss Mary herself. All right, now let's see. Who is next? Does anyone have a problem with their hands shaking when they're on the computer? Because I do, and I'm getting tired of it. All right, so we're going to start with the pictures from last week that Melanie sent. Come on. And these are the pictures of Miss Willow's first good snowfall. Look at her. She just is having the best time. And that brain is trying to figure out what that stuff is. Isn't that cute? The cold doesn't seem to bother her a bit. I love this view off of Melanie's back deck. Just beautiful. All right. Ah, beautiful. Then she saw a block pattern that was done. The pattern was printed in black and white, which made her think, I'm going to use black and white. And she's having a grand time with that. This is something off of a Facebook page that she got of this quilter who uses these, I forgot what they're called, but they're like a clip on a bungee cord to help hold her quilt while she does the quilting by embroidery. And that is brilliant. So I just thought we'd show you that. Okay. Then what's next? Here's Miss Willow. Look at her. And she evidently wants to be the center of attention, even when they're sitting there trying to work on a puzzle. Isn't that cute? I love it. And Miss Manley looks so happy with her pup. So happy. I love bearing the face right in there. Terrific. Thank you, Miss Melanie. And Miss Melanie's she wants to be present during our live stream. So we're hoping. Here is from Meltem in Turkey. She went to a craft show and they were showing the quilting that are all these. They're satin on the top, they're layered, and they're hand quilted. It is just beautiful. And those men were demonstrating. Just beautiful. Obviously, they take a lot of pride in their guild. Isn't that wonderful? Please keep Turkey in your thoughts. Those dear people didn't ask for this. And look what Meltem did. She saw a lonely candied apple in a store window. She photographed it, which is right here. Then she came home and she recreated that photograph at home. Isn't that wonderful? And look at the care and thought in her quilting. Beautiful. We call this ribbon candy, and her ribbon candy is perfect. Just lovely. Thank you, Miss Meltem. And we will be thinking of your dear country. All right, now let's go back and see who is next. Next is Miriam. Just want to show one more time her wonderful Hanukkah decoration that she made. She decided I can't get it to enlarge. There we go. And she made this past year to decorate her home. Lovely job. All right, now let's see. Nancy Lynn, I told you I went to her site this week to see what she was doing. Lovely. I love it. She has a lot of the same interest as Carol, which is fabric embellishment. And what fun is that? That's when you really add the icing on the cake. Let's see what Miss Nazarin's been doing up in, was it Toronto again? I might have gotten that wrong. But look at this wonderful bookcase quilt with the snow globe and the flowers. I love seeing what she has on her bookcase. Isn't that awesome? What fun. That's probably a box of tissues. I wonder. Then look at what she has done with this sea turtle. And I'm assuming that's mosaic and that these pieces are appliqued to a lighter background. I was watching The Last Homely House, and she's in England, in Northumberland, and she was talking about applique, and she said she appliqued it. Appliqued. And I thought that was so interesting. So look at this great Valentine's quilt. Just gorgeous. And then look at her snow globe quilt. Remember what I was telling you, that her colors were very different, but they're beautiful. And I love that she bounced the yellow from the sashing in the blocks. The blues from the sashing are repeated. And then this adorable, it's almost Currier and Ives winter scene for her border. But isn't that charming? Isn't that wonderful? I get to see that quilt that Diana Bicknell designed in a wonderful new look through new eyes. And I love how all of her snow globe bases are different. Isn't that wonderful? So way to go, Miss Nazarene. They're lovely. They are just lovely. All right. And Miss Robin, who's here today. Miss Robin, I would have so much fun landscaping with Miss Robin because we're both from the school of you never met a fabric you didn't like for a landscape. And I love the buildup, the depth that she gets. It's just amazing. I still don't know how she made the bears look fuzzy. That is so cool. Furry, not fuzzy, but furry. I love the way she frames the quilt. This is a new one Miss Robin is working on. Look at these wonderful delphiniums and lupins, and I'm really curious to see. You can see it's pinned to the door, so it's in progress. Isn't that amazing? I just love it. You can create your own world. And how amazing is that? There you go. Look at all that. And I see now these yellow dots are pins holding fabrics in place. Oh, look at this. So what fun that is. What fun. Thank you, Miss Robin. Please keep sending photos. We love these, and they inspire us. Then Sue came to me and wanted help because she wanted to recreate a covered bridge. Oh my gosh. She said, I've started with this, but I'm not happy. Really? The first time I looked at it, I thought, she should be teaching this. This is really amazing. So I absolutely love it. And one of the things she was worried about is she was worried this tree is not realistic enough. Well, what I would suggest is maybe she either points it a little more or brings it slightly wider because trees tend to have a triangular shape, a more rounded shape as each leaf tries to get its place in the sun. But I said your thread painting over this will then take it to that level right where it needs to be. So I would suggest that she would get several colors of thread, light, medium, and dark. And then when she does the movable zigzag stitch, that's when it's really going to come to life. I love what she's done. I love how she's tried to show the openness up here in the covered bridge. I love that the shrub here, and she was worried about how to get the path to look better. And so I mentioned about thread painting. I'm not sure exactly what her path is, whether she means this fabric or this fabric up here. But she can also do a lot of highlighting and shadowing with ink tints or just regular colored pencils. I'm very excited to see what comes next. I think she's got a fabulous start. So, here, now you get to see this better over here. So I told her to remember, you're just blocking in color. It's going to have a stage of an awkward young teenager. It's okay, give it time. And as you add layers, as you add mixed media, thread painting or fabric painting, it's going to come to life. And see, if she's worried at all about this roof, she can add highlights and shadows with fabric paint and thread. So all you're doing with fabric, you block in the color. Block it in. Then you refine it with thread and markers. Okay? But her mountains look great. These are wonderful in the background. So good job. I think I would either widen this tree down here or, make it a little narrower up there. But you got it. And then adding the thread painting, it will be perfect. I love it. Beautiful start. I mean, I don't even think that that's at the awkward teenage stage. So I think you've done beautifully. I think she is our last person. So what I have for you today, whoops, let me, hold on. I don't want to lose you. Okay. Now let me turn this. What I have for you today are, I'm going to have to lean this down. I've just got a couple little ideas on, you could make a cloth Valentine for someone, or you could make a Valentine pillow or a Valentine postcard. And so let me show you what I have. And is there anything else? I was going to tell you real quickly. This is the inner border for my exploding heart. And remember, I told you that I had the fabric. I was going to tear out the borders. And here they are. And let me come back to y'all. I just realized, oops, I'm still on all the photos and I need to see y'all. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Uh-oh. Okay, are we still here? Are we still here? I hope so. Yay, we're still here. Because it had a little box that said, do you want to post this? No. I'm still talking. So here are the borders that I tore, and the borders that have the fish and turtles in it, I'll put in my scrap bag for another project. So what I'm going to do today, I thought I would start by seeing if we could try, it's not very pretty, it's kind of messy, but try to do a paper piece log cabin heart. I don't know if it'll work. Let's give it a shot. Thanks. Okay. And any questions, always write in all caps if you can, because that way I can see them more easily. And what I've noticed that's so wonderful is some of you are really good about helping the others, saying, so-and-so wanted to know this. Thank you. Because I don't always look at the screen at the perfect time. All right, like with any other paper piecing, let me bring this down. Like with any other paper piecing, I'm just doing this on newsprint, which is fine. You just have to sew carefully. The first thing I do is I turn my stitch length down to 1.8. I have a little glue stick, okay? Let me get that ready. All right. Now, this is the side that I sew on. So I'm going to come over here and place my fabric on this side. And that's the oddest thing about, that is the most unusual thing about paper piecing, is you kind of work upside down, and that's okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is put some glue. Let me see. Which one do I want to be? Yep, this one. Okay. I'm going to put some glue stick right here on this and place this fabric here. You just want the fabric to try to be 1/4 of an inch or so bigger than the space you're putting that. Then I think I'm going to get a piece of this. And what I'm going to do is come in here and, yep, that's right about 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to place these right sides together. I'm going to go ahead and put a little pin here because you have to turn it over and I don't want the fabric to fall off. But then I'm going to come under here. Now, if you want me to, if this comes out okay, if you want me to, I'll do a better job of drawing it and send it to the site so that you can kind of see what I'm trying to do. But I had seen this and I didn't have a pattern, so I thought I'll just make the pattern myself, but I was running late. All right, so now I've sewn this right sides together. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to finger press it like that. Okay, now if you don't have a wooden iron, you can use a wooden clothespin. They work really well too. All right, so now the next piece is going to be this piece right under here. So I'm going to come in and put this right sides together, but move it down. All right, let me go ahead and just cut it so that I know it's pretty good. All right, so I'm going to place this here. I'm going to still put a pin because since this is not stiff paper and I don't have it drawn beautifully, I don't want to take chances. So now I'm going to come over here. Okay. And I'm going to stitch, and you'll see why it's so important to stitch nice tiny stitches, because you're going to be ripping this loose from the paper and you don't want to pull the stitches loose on the fabric. Oops. Okay, that one, let me come back, and I didn't catch this in good, so let me come back in here and stitch a little closer here. All right, here we go. I'm just showing you the technique. This, I would have to do a much better job of tracing this out. All right, then the next piece to go on here, I've done these two, I've done this one. Now I need to do this one right here. So I'm going to come in here, grab a piece of this, and this goes right across there. All right. Place this, and now this is longer than 1/4 of an inch, so I'm going to go ahead and trim this to where it just sticks 1/4 of an inch past the line. Now I'm going to put this piece right here. Come in. Nope, I'm going to pin it again. Like I said, the tissue paper and not having a good bold line, I think I need a little bit of assistance. Now, the next one I'm going to do is even easier, and I'm going to get ready because I probably won't do this whole thing, just enough to kind of give you an idea. Okay. Okay. All right, so take that pin out, then fold this back. Now I'm going to take it over here to the iron real quick, because it is nice to have a good hot iron to give it a little, to tame it. But do you see what I'm doing? You just keep adding. Let's add one more. And yep, that would be this one right up here. So I think we'll put this piece. All right, so let me cut this. I needed 1/4, actually a 1/2 inch longer. Let me, 1/2 inch longer than the space, because I need it to hang over at least 1/4 of an inch either side. I think I can do this one okay without a pin. Okay, get it under here. All right, always start before the line, then stitch beyond the line, because you want to make sure those stitches are well anchored. All right. Now, I can see here that I've got more than 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, so I'm going to come in here and trim this to 1/4 of an inch. Oops. If you've sewn over, just pull it back like that. And no problem. All right. Let me press this. There we go. Okay. So if you want a pattern of this, I can take the time to draw one up. If you can find your own, that might be a good thing. But what I'm going to try to do is run all of these pieces and then trim it out. Then you can always, in fact, you could do this as a quilt as you go in a way, just print the pattern on a foundation, and each time you sew, if you had the stuff underneath, but you can quilt it, you can bind it, you can zigzag a satin stitch, but finish your heart. That's a sweet little log cabin. Now, this other plan is so much easier. What I'm going to do is just come in here and be totally wild about it and just sew through here. Actually, I wasn't supposed to do that. Hold on. All right. I wasn't supposed to do it, but I think it'll be okay. Let me see if I can fix it. The first piece is supposed to just lay there. I apologize. I forgot that. Now, I'm going to come in next, and I'm going to put this here, stitch close to the edge, and flip it back. And I can see right where to sew it by the line I just sewed underneath. So, it's okay that I sewed that fabric wrong. I just come back and sew back over it. But the first piece, anytime you do paper piecing, just remember the first piece. That's why I use a glue stick, because you glue or pin down the first piece. All right. So now I've got this. Now I'm going to add another piece, and I'm just going to put this right here. And you might say, well, where is the Valentine shape? It'll be there eventually. In fact, I don't need to turn this over or anything. All right. Put this here. Stitch. And this is a really good technique for a child, a grandchild could try to do. All right. Now I'm going to come, and I'm kind of just going back and forth to each side. Now this one, I'm going to kind of lay it that way and stitch, because I don't want everything to just be all lined up. So I'm going to make it dramatic and pull it there. I'm going to pull it even more crooked, because this is just for fun. I can lengthen these stitches since it's not really quite the same paper piecing formula. All right, press this one real quick. So now, do you see how that changes, makes it a little more exciting? Now I'm going to come in with, let's see, which one do I want to use this time? Oh, nope, I'll put this one up here. All right, and I'm going to make this go the opposite way. So I'm going to make this angled this way down. All right. And as I'm going, I'm just going to cut off any long pieces. And if you have any questions, don't forget, your 11, we will definitely be thinking of, oh my. Oh, goodness. Okay, we'll definitely be thinking of him. All right. Now, this one's so fast and easy to do. All right, let's see. Oh, this is a cool one. I think I need red first, though. Let me come in here and kind of do this. All right, now I can come in with, where is that? Ah, yes, I love this. Okay, so this one's going to come in at an angle like this. Okay, give this a press. All right, this one's just about there. Let me give it one more. I'm going to put this down here. All right, let me iron this over. All right, and then this needs a little something right there. All right, we press this back. All right, now let's see. I think I want one more piece of red right at the top. Let me cut off this excess real quick here. I'm going to put one more red piece at the top. And I'm going to put it at a slight angle like this. All right, now this is for the fun part. It's the reveal. And this is holidays are wonderful opportunities to create stash busters, especially scrap stash. All right, let me do one more iron of this, and then I'll bring you over here. Whoops, let me. Whoops. Okay. Yay. All right. So now I want to take and do the last press. Do a real good press. Now, then I'm going to turn this over. Where did I do? Yes. Turn this over. Well, yeah, good. Turn this over. And first, though, I want to look at kind of what direction I've got this going. So, and then I can feel where I've got fabric. I'm going to come here and now draw a little bit of a silly heart, making sure I am on the fabric. So it doesn't work as good if you run off the fabric. All right, so now whoops, I'm sorry. I drew it out of your line of sight. Then I'm going to make sure I've got the fabric under my fingers. And I'm going to come here. Now, if you wanted to, you could first go around the edge, sewing it, so that any little scraps stay in place. But you're just going to come along here. Here we go. And just follow the line, making sure that underneath you're holding the fabric in the right place. Here we go. And look at that. Do you see? So I think that is absolutely cute as can be. Cute as can be. So those are two little quick, doesn't take any time to do little decorations. This, you could then end up zigzagging it on to cardstock. Make a card, write on the back of it, glue it onto a card. And so there you go. But I thought you might like to see that. And I think it is cute as can be. You can zigzag around the edge. You can glue it to fabric glue onto fabric or glue it onto a crisp card. This one, just keep going around and around with your log cabin and then cut that heart out. So simple, easy. Now at least we've done something for Valentine's. But if it's not a Reese's Valentine heart, what does it matter? All right, let me real quickly go over our agenda. Make sure I covered everything. Oh, Bear Creek Quilting I went to their blog, and she has a wonderful thing about cleaning up your craft area, your sewing area studio. And so if you go to the Bear Creek Quilting Company and look for their blog, she has a Clean Your Room Sewing Challenge. It's too late to enter the sewing challenge. But just reading about it was nice. It was good for me to read about because it gives me incentive. I've got some cleaning to do here. All right, we did our hearts. We talked about Miss Brenda. And now we're on week 2. This is week 2 of our nod to the 19th century. And the one other thing I was going to do, I can do really quickly here. Yeah, we still have time too. Have you ever been sewing and you realize, let me show you more easily. I'm going to pick some fabrics here. You're sewing some blocks together. And one of them is bigger than the other, meaning longer, okay? So here, I'm going to do that for you and show you. I'm going to sew this seam together, but I'm going to make this one about a whole 1/4 of an inch longer. So now I want to show you. You've got it pinned. Pin it in the first place. All right. Let me get the camera in the angle. And I'm going to show you, what if your fabrics aren't the same length, but they need to match? What do you do? Okay. So let me bring the camera back down. Because I like giving you tips, and we've been so busy lately, I haven't always had time to do the tips. So let's see. Yeah, this is pretty. Oh, yeah, this is good. All righty. I think, yes. Okay. So you have these 2 pieces of fabric here, and one of them is clearly longer. What do you do? Well, I'm not going to pin it. I don't want to pin it together right here. When you pin it together, you trap the excess. See that? You will trap it and you'll get a pleat. Okay? So let's see what we do. And I'm going to try to keep my hand out of the way best I can. But I've got it pinned at the beginning. You put it here under your presser foot. I'm going to, my stitch length is going to be a 2.2. All right. What I'm going to do, you put the longer side on the bottom. Okay? The long side. Mitty's here. Hi, sweetie. Cheryl's here. So we put the long side on the bottom. Okay? You can even then go ahead, if you want with your hands, you can go ahead and hold the two ends even, but the long side's on the bottom. So you take a couple take a couple stitches. All right. Then you pull your fabric up and you slowly sew. And what you're doing by pulling your, my fabric got off track. Hold on a second. By pulling the fabric up, the bottom fabric has to go farther to get sewn than the top fabric. It's like if you are running a race at a track, the person on the inside of the track has to run a shorter race. So if they have a race where they have to do several different laps, they take turns running the inside versus the outside. But let me start again. Okay, get a few stitches in good. You want to make sure that the edge, I'm not even going to hold them together at this end. I'm going to hold them separately. Okay, because that's the problem I had. When I held them like this and lifted up, I couldn't see good enough, and then they scooched around. So I'm going to hold two different, the long one in this hand, the shorter one here. Lift them up, and that's making the pink, that's the longer fabric, it's making it go farther than the blue, which is the shorter fabric. Just hold it up while you stitch. Now, it slid and it made it look longer. But let me show you. It slid right here. But let me trim it even again. Because remember how big the difference was at the bottom? Now and I really exaggerated it so you could see. But it almost caught up. And you can kind of see where you lifted it up. So now you go over to your iron and press it. And the beauty of fabric is that it's a woven material. And with it being a woven material, it will shrink and adapt. But if you remember, this piece was a good at least 1/4 of an inch long, and now you've almost caught it up. And I exaggerated the difference in that short. And that's, yes, do all addresses through me, please. And that's OurTimeToQuilt at twc.com. I don't want anyone to give their address out here. Just send it to me, and I will be the interceding person. But anyway, do you see now how you were able? And at first, it looked a little puffier because you had worked all that extra fabric in. But once you press it, then the weave will take it back in. So does that make any sense? I hope you can see that. But I like giving you little tips, and that's one of my best. Because no matter how carefully you cut your fabric, no matter how carefully you sew your fabric, you're going to have pieces that don't fit perfectly. So, okay. Hi, Michelle Lang. Happy birthday, ladies. So our Michelle had a birthday this week. So tickled for her. All right. I think we've covered everything. And I think we've learned enough. Our brains are full. And I think I'm smelling pot roast upstairs. Yes, I think I am. And that's calling my name. All right, ladies. Thank you so much. Be thinking about my Zen animal thing that I kind of teased you with. Be thinking about what animal you would like to paint. Will it be an elephant or a cheetah or a zebra or a giraffe or a hippopotamus? Be kind of thinking. And then next week, I will show you my idea for what our next project will be. Okay? And this is the kind of project that you can do over a long period of time. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining me. I haven't kept up with all of the chatting, but I will come back in. I think tomorrow they'll have the chat up. I'll come back and catch up on all your chat, please. So, everybody, have a great week. Stay warm. Jody, you stay in touch with us going through the radiation, darling. And y'all are the best. Make sure you check out Diane's Sewing Adventures site. I think she's brand new. Don't forget, next week we're having our 5th anniversary party. Woo! So I think we need to have a party, and I'm thinking there may have to be a gift certificate drawing for one lucky person. Okay? So next week, 5th anniversary of Our Time to Quilt. Can't wait for you to come back Thursday night. Don't forget, we've got a very interesting landscape going on. And I had a man write and ask for the pattern. He wants to join into the fun. So I'm thrilled. Thank you, Nat. And I think I will see the rest of you Thursday night and next Sunday. Have a good one. Take good care of yourself. You're very special to me. Bye-bye, everyone.